Hey guys, it's June 2023, and that means I'm officially 3 years off my medication against depression. Um, I'm going to do a video about depression and mental health. But before I start, I want you to know that if you are dealing with a depression or are struggling with things surrounding depression, please contact the right people. There are people out there that can help. Don't feel ashamed to contact them. Don't hesitate to contact them. They are there for you, and it's so important that you get the right help. So please contact them, okay? So, you guys, here's the thing. I had this whole idea of how I wanted to do this, and I even filmed it. And then I realized talking about my depression, even though I've been struggling with it for over a decade, isn't that easy. I mean, if you look at me, you see this girl that's happy doing her workouts, having a smile on her face, things like that. But behind all of that is a third of my life dealing with being depressed. So I had this whole thing planned. I was going to tell about my story. I was going to tell when it started and all the things that are past. And, you know, that just isn't the way I want to do this. Because then I would be telling it and I don't know. It just didn't feel right. So I'm going to try again. um Well, let's start this thing the way it should start. So, hi, my name is Laura. I'm 31 years old, and for over a third of my life, I have been dealing with depression. I've been in a mental wing of the hospital a few times, I think about 6 times. I've had medication for my depression, which made me gain 20 kilograms. I have had really dark times where I didn't trust myself. I didn't want to be alone. I really couldn't care anymore. But here I am. It's been over a decade. I'm still here. I am working out every morning. I am feeling energetic. I still have my ups and downs, but I get up better. And I decided I want to share my story, but also share the fact that depression, even though it's something that you have to deal with on your own and you have to beat on your own, isn't something that is just for you. There are lots of people out there who have a depression or who have been dealing with it, and there are people out there that can help. So that's like the most important message. For me, my depression started, as I said, a decade ago, a bit more than that. And I got out of a train and I thought, what if I just ended? I got scared of that thought and I was on my way to school, so I decided to just run to school. I got there as fast as I could. I found my teacher and I told him what was going on because it scared me. When you have a thought like that for the first time, it's scary. So he made sure I could sit somewhere, and then he first had to start the class because the other kids were coming as well, and they had to be in the class doing their thing, and then he could come to me again. So he gave me time to just breathe. He gave me his number, so if anything was going on, I could call him. And he went to the classroom. He let the other students in, put them to work, and then he came to me, and together we called my mom, and she came to pick me up. From that moment, it was clear that I wasn't doing well. even though until that moment we thought it was doing quite okay. Um, but I wasn't doing that well, and we decided that I needed more help. So with my mom, I got to this counselor, um, and we had a conversation. And I decided I wanted to finish that day in school. I didn't want to go home, so she said, "Okay, I will pick you up after school." So I had my whole day in class. It was really hard because the others didn't know what was going on. And back then I was doing um, this education to become a teacher because I wanted to be a teacher. And part of that is reflecting on yourself. As you might be able to imagine, when you're going through those dark times I was in at the moment, it's really hard. So I had to walk out the class a few times. Um, my teachers were informed, so they knew what was going on. My classmates weren't. And after school, we went home. My mom picked me up. We went to the general practitioner. And from there, I went to this psychologist. We had some conversations. I started medication. And then it took me, I think that was February. Um, and it took me 1.5, maybe 2 months. And then in April, I remember really well because we had this weekend of me training to be in an animation team on a campsite. It was all fun and games. And I came home and I was like, nope, I can't do this anymore. I didn't feel safe. I was scared of myself, of my own thoughts. I didn't want to be home alone, all things like that. So by that time, my classmates thought I was seeking attention. We had some conversations about that with the class. But that wasn't the point. I really was in a dark time back then. And every day was a struggle. I was fighting with myself, trying to keep up appearances, and at the same time feeling this black hole inside of me. So on the Sunday after that training weekend, I got home. I told my parents I wasn't doing well. And we decided that on Monday, day before my testing, my exams, we would call the general practitioner again. So we did, and he sent us to a psychologist, and then they arranged that I could go to the mental wing of a hospital. So I got there, and it was so double because part of me was done with living, and the other part was like, okay, but tomorrow I have exams. I want to go there. And they said, no, you're not going to go there. You're going to stay here for a while and you're going to get better. So I stayed there, I think 3 or 4 weeks. I went back there one more time, I think a year later for 1.5 week. And then it was somewhat okay. I had to quit my education. But in the year after my depression started, I wanted to go to school. So I chose another education and started that. Also got bullied there because it was different. Little did they know that I was still dealing with my depression. And yeah, during that time, for me, it was really hard because I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was trying to fit in, but I didn't fit in. I was different. I didn't like makeup. I liked playing with dolls. I didn't like all these hip hop songs. It was hard to be different. Then they figured out I have autism. And with autism, there's a spectrum. You can be in between it somewhere. I am yeah, how do we say this? It's Asperger's syndrome. So social contacts for me are difficult. My IQ is quite high, and I am not dealing well with changes. um, so I finally got a chance to explain that to my classmates. When I got that diagnosis, it changed a bit of how they were looking to me, but not much. And eventually I managed to finish that education, go to work. And then a few years later, I went downhill again. Only problem was that if I told someone I was going downhill, they would be like, yeah, but you're still talking about it in a good way, so it's not that bad. I still had these masks on that were showing this happy face, but part of it was because I was nervous. And when I'm nervous, I'm going to smile. And also, because of my autism, I was able to talk about it in third person. So, as if it was distance from me. So I would go somewhere, they would say, okay, you do these few tests. And then at the end of that, I was like, you know what to do. You can go home. And that's not how it works. So I have been battling with it, trying to keep myself up, doing multiple jobs at a time just to keep my mind occupied. And as some of you might know, if you keep going forward just to keep yourself busy, keep your mind occupied, there will be a moment when your body says, I'm done. Well, this happened, I think, for the first time in, I don't know when, but I got fired from my job for not telling them I had autism. And then I had this giant meltdown. We went to a few conversations with people about getting me inside some facility again. And they were like, no, 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 it's not that bad. It's not that bad. So then I decided to just make it worst case scenario. Because I was still in that mood that I had these thoughts about doing something to myself, but my safety net was that I didn't want to hurt the people I loved. So I wouldn't do it because that love for them was stronger than the hate for myself. And that's what saved me, but that's also what made it hard for me to get a place somewhere where I could be treated. So I got sent away from another conversation, and I was in the car next to my boyfriend, and I said, okay, so just drop me off somewhere and drop me off and let me be. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I was like, yeah, that's the only way I can get help. If I really do something, then I can get help. And otherwise, I'm too good. And I was really desperate at that time. So even though I really didn't want to hurt the people that I loved, and I was fighting with everything that I had, it wasn't much, but everything that I had left in energy and things like that, I was putting it into not doing something to myself. And then I said, okay, if they don't do anything until it's worst case scenario, then just drop me off somewhere. And then we made some calls again, and I finally got into a mental wing again, and I had to stay there for a few weeks. I got different medications. I gained 20 kilograms, and when I got home, they said, okay, we're going to give you daily activities you can do for 40 hours a week, so you can still keep busy, but there will be professionals. Well, that wasn't possible. So it was, I think, 3 days a week that I could go somewhere and they would keep me occupied, but also keep in touch with me. And then gradually I was getting better. I, of course, was getting treatment, so I was getting better. And then in 2018, I went down again. By that time, I was working two jobs, one in the normal weeks and one in school holidays. So I was doing two jobs and also following a new education. So I was keeping my mind occupied again, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I quit my jobs. I got fired from one of them. The other one I quit. I finished my education. I did. And then we started searching for a place for me to go. So I got into this place where 3 days a week I could get treatment. It was half an hour drive, so I got there by taxi 3 times a week. And it was really intensive treatment, but also specifically for people with autism. So they were really trying to combine it because it's for people with high functioning autism, it's easier to get depressed because you are able to see how it should be and to think, okay, that's not who I am. So it's easier to get depressed. And they were focusing on people with high functioning autism. I would have crafts, but not just make something, but there would also be challenges in that. So I also was kind of a perfectionist, still am. Not was, I still am. And they would have me make something and then all of a sudden say, okay, stop. You now get another color and just strike it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I was like, yeah, you're going to do that. Just one strike, just do it. And it took me a long time to do that. So they were helping me in that way. So I had crafts, I had yoga, I had these gaming sessions where we would play a boards game. But then because of playing that with others, you had to talk with others. You had to, maintain some kind of role because I would get a role then and I would have to maintain that. So part of that was not to think about the others, not to care for them, not to lose a game so they could win, but only to think about me, which for me is quite hard. And that helped. I was going up in my mental health. I stayed there for 10 months. And then I was getting ready to get a job, things like that. Then my health got worse, but I still maintained the way I was going. And eventually, I was picking up old habits. So I was doing way too much, tiring myself out just to keep my mind busy. So looking back at it now, it was just this circle of me feeling worse. So starting doing things that make my mind busy, made my energy go way down, getting a breakdown, and then start recovering and continue the circle. Um, so in, I think it was September 2020, my body was giving up. It was literally telling me not to continue. So it tried to stop me in any way. I got out of a bus. I nicked my ankle. It was in September. In October, I fell down the stairs. In November, I had a car accident. In December, I had pneumonia. And then in January, I was like, okay, I will listen. So I was at my treatment for my autism, and they told me, okay, if it gets to a 2, you need to call. And I was like, okay, but when is it a 2? And they explained me what a 2 was, and I was like, yeah, but I'm already there. I think I'm already at 1. Even though I was behaving like 5, I was at 1, and I was trying to keep up my best way, but I couldn't. So they started calling. And all these places I could go to, they told them, well, she has autism, so we can't help her because she needs rest and regularity, a schedule, and she needs things to go the same every day. We can't help her. And I was like, but that's exactly what people with mental problems need. These things that I need as well. So eventually I was somewhere. We had a conversation there because they said, okay, she can come for a conversation. And I was there and I wrote this poem because I was always good with words. So I wrote down a poem that I felt like I wasn't welcome anywhere because I was still being able to fight, and that I hated it that if you are able to fight and if you are willing to prevent something from happening, you couldn't get a spot where they could help you. So it's like, if you know you are getting an injury and you're recovering, trying to help yourself, but at the same time, the physical therapist can't help you, or the hospital, until you break your leg. It's like, what's going on? I want to prevent the worst thing from happening, so please help me now. Eventually, I've arranged there that I could go there for 1 week. It's not much, but I could go there. So I went there. During that week, someone there really did the worst thing they could do, and they didn't survive. Um, and for me, that was a hard moment because it came really close to what I was trying to prevent. So we had this conversation after a week, and I said, I'm not ready to go home. I really wasn't ready. I couldn't be alone in my room. I didn't want paper clips around me because I could use them. I just wasn't ready. So I decided that I wanted to stay. They added a few more days. And in the end, I was, I think, 2.5 weeks. So I was able to stretch it. But then I got home. That was somewhere in February. I think I got in a few days after my birthday in January. And then in February, I got out. And we were arranging for me to go somewhere where I could get a longer treatment for more than a month and just stay there, get treatment. So on the 11th of March in 2021, I got into Lieverhoed. That's a place where I would get that treatment. At the same time, my partner went to Japan for a holiday with his friends. And March 16th, so 5 days later, there was this press conference about COVID hitting the Netherlands and we were going into lockdown. It scared me and it gave me so much discomfort not knowing what the other people in the facility would bring in, that I decided I wanted to go home. I would feel safer at home knowing that I would be alone because my partner was still in Japan. Then I would feel there. So my mom picked me up in the evening. We went home. So I've only been there, I think, a little over a week. I've been there. And we went home. I picked up walking. I tried to maintain. So we went home and I tried to maintain this schedule of me waking up, having breakfast, go for a walk, do something like reading or something like that, have a rest, have lunch, go for a walk, and that continued all day, every day. So the walking was just 500 meters and became more gradually. Then in April, I probably got COVID. I couldn't walk from my couch to the door, which was just, I think 6 meters. And then I would be out of breath. I've been down, I think 3 weeks, fever, not being able to breathe that well, things like that. It never got tested because we didn't do it back then. So we don't know, but I think I had it then. In June, I got ill again and I forgot to take my medication. And after that, it went up. I had, thanks to COVID, this period of not having to socialize, not having to obtain this mask to social events because there were no social events and no gatherings, no birthdays, nothing like that. So I was able to just keep my own peace at my own home. And I kept on walking. It became more and more. I started to do these little workouts in the mornings in my garden. I then, of course, I quit my medication. I didn't want to start it again because I was afraid I was going to gain even more weight. So I didn't start it. It's not a good thing to end it all by yourself without guidance, but I just did. Cold turkey, stopped. um, Eventually, I started doing Dear Good Morning because I was awake early. Why not do a workout in the morning? I started doing that, and one thing led to another. And the Dear Good Morning part helped me to find high rocks. That helped me to find purpose to train for. It helped me find a gym. And now I'm here. I'm feeling good. I still have my doubts. I still have my moments that I don't feel well. I still have my really, really, really low days that are dark, but I'm able to get out of it. And yes, sometimes my mind, I call it an eagle that's in there, is still being mean and being talking me down. But it's part of me, and I have learned to deal with it. And I also have learned that working out, or at least taking a moment in the morning for myself to exercise, is helping me to maintain this good feeling that I have. Um, so, yeah, now I am on Instagram sharing about my journey, the ups, the downs, the days that I don't feel well. I also share them because I feel that it shouldn't be something that we put aside. There are lots of people out there dealing with depression, dealing with burnout, dealing with all kind of mental problems, and we shouldn't hide that. We shouldn't put aside the fact that this is normal, because at this moment in society, everybody is saying, well, it's not normal and you should feel insecure or ashamed about it. Don't. Don't be ashamed for feeling different. Don't be ashamed for having these thoughts. Don't be ashamed for dealing with depression or anxiety or anything like that, because why should you be? It's part of you. And yes, it's hard. And I know it. I've been there. It's hard and it's really stressful. And I know sometimes you just want to throw in the towel and give up. I know. And I understand because I've been there. And for me, there were times I was feeling like that as well. But I also know that if you try your best, and I know you're doing that, taking small steps every day again, that it is possible to get out of it. And it's not going to happen in like a day or a week or a month, and maybe not even a year. It took me 10 years. But eventually, you will beat those nasty thoughts, those dark days. You will beat them. And yes, in the end, there still will be times that you feel that low, but you will be able to deal with it better. So, just take it one step at a time. When you wake up, that's step one. You woke up. Step two, getting out of bed. Step three, brushing your teeth, combing your hair, taking a shower. All those steps, even though they seem so natural and so normal, when you have a depression, it's so hard to do those things. So take every little tiny, tiny step as a win. And don't start with, okay, I need to do this, 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 this. No. Wake up, get out of bed, brush your teeth, take a shower, get dressed. That's the first 5 steps. And if you make it through these 5 steps for a week or maybe a month, okay, add a next step. Go outside for a walk. It doesn't have to be a 5K walk. Even if it's just 500 meters, you went outside for a walk. That's a win. And I know how hard it can be to accept that these are the things you're doing now and that's it. For a long time, I was saying, I'm just hanging on the couch watching television. And then everybody say, no, but it's recovering and you're restoring your energy and blah, blah, blah. I was thinking, it was like, it's not useful. I'm sitting there watching television, not doing anything. But what I did do was get out of bed, put some clothes on, go downstairs, have breakfast. That's what I did. 4 wins. And there will be days that you get out of bed, you stay in pajamas, you don't brush your teeth, you don't shower, but you get breakfast. It's okay. You got out and you ate breakfast. That's good. So take these tiny steps as victories. And then eventually, also with the right help, with maybe some medication if you need it to calm your mind, with lots and lots and lots of good talks, you will get there. Even though it takes time, even though it goes like this. And sometimes it goes down and sometimes it goes up. And that's okay, because as long as you take these steps every day again, they will become a routine and you will be able to do them without thinking as much. They will cost less energy, and the energy you save on that can be put into something else. And I know how hard it can be to do that. I know how many times you might want to say, I give up. I can't do this. It's too much. I know how many times you probably want to sit in a corner with a blanket over your head, crying, sobbing your eyes out. That's okay. These emotions need to come out, and that's okay. With depression, it can feel so lonely because to the outside, you show that it's okay, that you're laughing, having fun, and at the same time, you're asking so much from yourself. So please talk about it and know that you're not alone, and know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to stay in your pajamas. It's okay, even if you need it, to stay in bed. If you need it, stay in bed for 2 or 3 days, but then come out and start doing these little steps again. And believe me, it's so hard when people tell you, you need to go outside, you need to take a walk. How many times I've heard that? I can't count them anymore. My mom was telling me all the time, go outside, go have a walk. It's good for you. Listen to the birds, feel the sun. At that moment, I couldn't do it because I was trying to survive by just getting out of bed, and that was it. I know how that feels. So if somebody gives you advice, it's probably because they want what's best for you, because it helped them, maybe because they don't know how you feel at that moment. Don't get mad at it. They try to help. But it's up to you to do something about it. So if you don't feel like you can walk, that's okay. Go back to the first steps. Get out of bed. Put on clothes. Brush your teeth. That's it. And maybe see it as little victories for yourself. So buy a big jar and buy these beads or something. And every time you have a little victory, no matter how tiny it is, put a bead into the jar. Because by the end of the week, you will see that there are beads in that jar and that you have done something. Even though it feels like you did nothing, you're working on yourself. And that's so hard. So it's so incredible that you're doing it. Keep doing it. And don't be afraid to ask for help. There are people out there that want to help you. But even though they can help you by listening to you, by having a conversation with you, by giving you medication or anything, eventually the one beating that depression, that monster, is this armored knight that is inside of you, but you just need to find it. It's left there in this maze, this dark maze with all these paths going nowhere, and it needs to find the right path again. But I know you can do it. You can beat that monster. I know it. I did it, and it still goes like this. Sometimes I have good days. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this. After High Rocks Rotterdam, I had these worst thoughts I've had in a long time. They were there, they were real. And I wanted to scream and cry and just my hands were itching and all this energy was in there. And I normally release that energy by, it sounds really stupid. I say it. Here at home, I take a pillow and I start punching it because the energy needs to get out. And that's my new way of dealing with it, because back when I was so depressed, that energy would get out by scratching myself. But now I found a new way. And back in Rotterdam, after High Rocks, I really had this kind of a meltdown. I was overstimulated. I was tired. I didn't feel great. I felt like I let everybody down. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch things. That's okay. These moments will happen. That's life. Hi. It's not going to get better if you just think, oh, help. You need to actively keep pushing yourself every time again. And I know how hard that sounds. For me, there are still days that I get up and I'm like, oh, I don't want this day to start. That's okay. Push yourself. You know what you can do. You know where your goal is. You know where you want to go. Push yourself. Get there. And it's okay if one day pushing yourself means giving it 50%. And the other day it's 100%. And then it's 120. It's okay. All those days will look different, but eventually they'll even out. And eventually you will look back and say, okay, I've had a good day. I've had a good week. I've had a good month. And then eventually you'll get there. But it's okay if it doesn't feel like that right now. It's okay if right now you're feeling like, okay, it's a 1. You want to go to the 100, but it's a 1. That's okay. Do the things you can do for that 1. So get out of bed. If that goes okay, maybe try the next step. Get yourself breakfast. And if you feel like, oh, that's too much, ask someone to bring you breakfast. Or maybe make it like this little happy moment. Make waffles or pancakes. If that makes you feel good, do it. Because honestly, these little things, I still do them. I get up and when I have a bad day, I'm like, okay, what do I have in my home? I can make waffles. Okay, let's make them. Let's make it a little party. Let's make myself happy. Yesterday, I bought some dresses. I'm not a girl that walks in dresses, but I noticed that if I wear them, I feel more happy. People are giving me compliments. I'm like, okay, this works for me. So I bought dresses. And I bought shirts like this. The really funny shirts that you don't normally wear when you go to work or anything. I'm working with children, that helps. But normally you don't wear them. But if it makes me feel good, that's okay. Because I do it for me. I work out for myself. I make nice meals for myself. I include chocolate when I want it. And yeah, it doesn't help with me losing weight. But I have my priorities. My number one priority, on top of all, is to feel good. To take care of myself in a way that makes me feel good. And if that means I do a workout and then have breakfast with yogurt and chocolate in there, okay. Or maybe pancakes, it's okay. If it means that I'm putting on a silly shirt and do a silly dance, that's okay. If it means I'm sitting down on the ground cuddling some cats and kittens, that's okay. As long as I do it for myself. That's my number one priority. And yet, somewhere along that list, I want to lose weight. I want to lose the fat that I have around my belly. I want to do things with friends. I want to be able to go to work again. But my number one priority is and will always be putting myself up there. And I'm not going to say putting myself first, because I know that's not something I can do. I tried that. Um, the one time I did, someone told me you need to put yourself first above everyone else. The person that wasn't at first place was my grandma. And the one time I did put myself first, a day later she died. So I'm not going to put myself first. I'm going to put myself shared second. So we're both first, but it's also second, we're shared. So this is me, and this is everybody else, and all other things. And we're the same. I'm not better. They're not better. We're the same. I think that's the most important lesson I learned. And, this is my story. There are dozens of stories out there that are different. You have these stories that end well, you have them that end a little less well. Make it your own story. Write your own book with your own chapters, and some chapters might be the hero chapters, and some might be the villains. That's okay. But know that you're not alone. There are people out there that can help. If you want, message me. If you just want to talk, just throw it all out in the DM. And if you don't want an answer, that's okay. If you want an answer, I'll try my best to give appropriate answer that it's, I try to help. Somebody asked me, why did you want to become an advocate of mental health? And why did you want to be an influencer about it? It's not my goal. I just want to share the fact that it's okay to be you. It's okay to feel not okay. It's okay to feel this dark, dark cloud above your head. It's all okay. Because if it wasn't okay, somebody, no matter who, is telling you it's not okay, please delete them from your life. Because they probably are lying. Everybody has these moments. And they can be really big, they can be really, really small. Everybody has these thoughts. But the difference is someone is able to beat them on its own very easily, and somebody else is struggling with it. And that's all okay. You just be you. You just be this amazing person that's getting up in the morning. And if that's all you do, that's okay. The next step will come. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. The next step will come. I believe in you. And I hope you believe in yourself as well. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know. I know it has been a really crazy talk. So if you're still here listening, wow, kudos to you. I just felt like I had to do it this way. I'm not going to cut in this video. So it's going to be the way it is with my struggles, with everything. It's going to be there. I'm going to upload it right now. And just be you. I believe in you. You can do this. Have a nice day.